Say hi to the internet and tell them who you are.
My name is Michael Schearer, the Pres 98, and I do research on the impact of technology on privacy.
Privacy. People don't realize, and I like what you said about how just because no one speaks up, it makes it okay.
Right. One of the issues that I talked about was just because something's not illegal doesn't make it acceptable. In other words, if we just agree with something that like for example the TSA scanners, if we just agree that it's okay, we don't raise an issue with it, then it just becomes acceptable and it just becomes reasonable for them to do that.
Right. I just blanked out. And the other thing you said was, and even they know it seems very obvious, but if you don't want it on the internet, don't put it out there.
Right. A lot of people share a lot of information voluntarily.
Yes.
And that in itself is not a bad thing. There are good reasons to share information. But once you share that information, you can't expect that information, you have no privacy over that information anymore.
It's out there forever.
Right. So one of the examples I use is, a woman who's pregnant, a lot of people post the pictures of their ultrasounds or whatever on their Facebook or whatever. Once you put that out there, you realize that, okay, people know you're pregnant now. Not that maybe you don't care, but realize that people know that information now. Once you put it out there, you can't take it back.
That's exactly it. Which brings me to my next point is I feel like we should tell everyone that the Wayback Machine exists.
Sure.
Like even if you do put the picture up, you realize your mistake and you take it down, it's still too late.
Right. A lot of times people will try to take stuff off the internet that they've already put out there. Chances are it's being saved somewhere. Based on even if someone just takes a screenshot, a lot of times people will put stuff up and they're like, oh, I didn't want to do that. In that time, somebody might do a screenshot. There's some evidence out there, of that information.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. So you need to really think before you post.
Right.
Yep. What else do you find in your line of work that seems very obvious, but people don't think about?
It's just a lot of times people are willing to trade privacy for convenience. Ooh. So some of the examples are used are like loyalty cards, supermarkets or stores where you have like a Safeway club card or whatever, and you use that because they might give you a discount, but they're also tracking your purchases.
That's right.
And once you share that information with a store, who knows where that information is going? Do they share it with other places? Do they share it with advertisers? Do they share it with the government? You don't know. And once you give that information, you don't have any control over it anymore.
All for the price of saving how much money?
Right, whatever, a few pennies or whatever.
Exactly.
Now, that's not to say that every program like that is a bad program, but realize that that your information is out there.
It is out there.
Right.
Yeah, and can you give any advice on geoservices and geolocation? And I don't think people also realize the information that even comes. So they take a picture with their BlackBerry and they put it on Twitter and the metadata.
Sure. A lot of cameras these days have, in the EXIF data, will record the GPS location of where the picture was taken. Yep. And that data, every time that picture is transmitted, that data is going out there. Also, people that are using services like Foursquare or Twitter with location data, they're checking in places. These people can actually be tracked to where they're going back and forth. And again, some people are doing that on purpose. They realize they're doing it, and that's fine. But just realize that information is out there, and that you could be more. You're making yourself more vulnerable because of it.
That's right. And it is possible to clean your photos and et cetera of the metadata.
Sure, that is possible, but it's something you need to look into when you have those devices. You get a new camera, of course you need to be aware that there's a possibility that data could be on there. You need to look at the manual, realize what sort of device you're using before you just start putting all that stuff out there.
And there's always a way to scrub it, but that's an extra step.
Sure, absolutely.
And I think that's too what gets people into trouble sometimes, is it takes more effort in order to keep it like this, and maybe the laziness is not going to pay off.
Right, and services such as Facebook or whatever, most of them have privacy filters or, how you can, limit where your information is going, but you really have to get in there and look at it. You can't just assume that whatever you post there is going to be private. You ought to assume the opposite, that anything you post is going to be public unless you limit it to a smaller audience.
And you have to make sure that you check and test your settings, because they can change and you cannot be aware of that.
Sure. A lot of times they'll start a new feature and they'll automatically opt you into it without you realizing it.
Yep.
Maybe there's certainly some concerns there, but ideally it comes down to the individual to be aware of what they're sharing.
One more question for you.
Sure.
And this is one I always am harping on people, and they roll their eyes at me, but it's the fact that Facebook has your everything, and Google too. And if you don't watch it, like when I was setting up my new BlackBerry, I video blogged about this. If I didn't go deep into the settings, it would have gone and sucked in all my contacts out.
Sure.
What in the world does Facebook need my address book for like that? Oh, to help me with my friends.
Right.
But no, because they're taking all the notes I have attached to those people.
Right.
And I believe, and maybe this is conspiracy-ish, but it's going to a giant database.
It's hard to say. I mean, a lot of companies aggregate data for lots of reasons, whether it's for advertising or it's to sell for other purposes. But information is valuable.
Yes.
We've come to the point where information by itself is valuable to different people for different reasons. To marketing people for advertising, just everyone who has a need for that information, it might be for a different reason. Sometimes, so we don't necessarily know what the reason is, but it's valuable.
But we do need to realize that your information is a currency. And so you wouldn't just, you put your money in a wallet,
right,
and you keep it safe in your pocket and an eye on it, so why would you do anything different with your information?
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Do you have any words of wisdom to leave us off with?
Just be careful what you share, and be alert. Realize that what you share, every time you're voluntarily putting information out there, you're reducing your expectation of privacy.
I like how you said that. Every time I put my information out there, I'm reducing my expectation of privacy.
Absolutely.
And you know what? If I keep doing that, I can't complain.
Right.
I did to myself.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.